Alfred Harmsworth knew what poverty meant. At times when he was young, his mother had to keep him warm by wrapping him in newspapers. And the family next door went bankrupt, and all of them killed themselves. But Alfred grew up to be a golden-haired, strikingly handsome young man, almost unable to contain his energy and ambition. He was one of those determined not to know his place.
Harmsworth had an uncanny instinct for what the man and woman in the street was interested in. Did they really want tens of thousands of words of parliamentary reports? Long letters from bishops? Boring reporting with no pictures? No, they wanted sensation, gossip, laughter.
Among the phrases coined by Harmsworth is tabloid newspaper. He also said, when a dog bites a man, it isn't news. When man bites dog, it is. And he told his journalists, the three things which are always news things are health things, sex things, and money things, which, broadly speaking, remains true.
Harmsworth built up a powerful publishing empire crowned by the Daily Mail.
For the Edwardians, the Daily Mail was a really big new thing. All the old ways of journalism, endless reporting of dull speeches, junked. In its place, first person, I was there, reporting short, dramatic stories. Big and early use of pictures, and above all, controversy. Get people angry, get them talking, get them stirred up today, and they'll be back for more tomorrow.
Harmsworth followed the Mail with the Mirror, and in 1907 bought the Times. By then, he was known as the Napoleon of Fleet Street.
Alfred Harmsworth represented a new force in Britain. Crude, unpredictable, but brimming with energy. H.G. Wells accused him of plastering the nation with rubbish. And Lord Salisbury huffily dismissed the Daily Mail as a paper by office boys for office boys, but they were both completely missing the point. Harmsworth's readers were the rising force in Britain. Dismiss them at your peril. This was the voice of Britain's new democracy.
But not all the change makers were targeting the masses. In March 1904, two men were about to bring new flash and swagger onto the roads of Britain. They were an odd couple. One, the wealthy son and heir of a titled landowner and a speed freak. The other, a self-made man. He'd left school at 9 and was now the proud owner of a tiny electrical engineering works in Manchester. Their names were Charles Rolls and Henry Royce. Unimpressed by foreign cars, Royce had taken one to pieces and rebuilt it from top to bottom, creating a vastly improved new model.
When Charles Rolls heard about the new car, he was instantly intrigued. Perhaps Mr. Royce might care to join him in London. No go. Mr. Royce was far too busy. He wasn't budging. And so Rolls, the aristocrat, had to get in the train and come north to Manchester to meet Royce, the self-made working-class engineer. And that's part of the point. Power was shifting. Rolls had to go to see Royce, not Royce to Rolls. At any rate, they met for lunch here in the dining room of the city's newly built Midland Hotel, and perhaps, surprisingly, The meal was a great success, and after it they went for a spin in Royce's new car. And when he got back home to London, Rolls dragged his business partner out of bed and told him, "I've just met the greatest motor engineer in the world." Rolls-Royce was born.
Before Rolls-Royce, cars were derided as entirely unreliable foreign toys.
I was with at 9 o'clock today. My husband came in a lovely way. We drove down to Brighton for a monthly stay, so we travelled on a motor car.
They were noisy, dirty, clunking machines.
Knocked down a policeman with a no. Others tried to follow and you did the lead. It was lovely on the motor car. But going
Charles Rolls' marketing skills, combined with Henry Royce's engineering genius, would change this.
but would not break at all. All through riding on a motor car.
But what really made Rolls-Royce's reputation was this glittering cracker. This is not a Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost. This is the Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost. Unique. It's one of the most valuable cars on the planet, worth at least £25 million. But in 1907, what flabbergasted even the most hardened car fanatics was its performance. Fast, powerful, reliable, and remarkably quiet. Not one of the best in the world.
Charles Rolls was soon moving on to conquer the next speed frontier, flight. He was eager to leave the road behind. No dust, police traps or taxis, he explained. He became a national hero when he completed the first 90-minute flight to France and back. Then on July the 12th, 1910, Rolls came to Bournemouth to take part in an air show.
It was a gusty day, bad weather for flying something made out of canvas and sticks. A French pilot had already been up and crashed, but he was unhurt. And he came up to Rolls and said, "Look, don't do this." Rolls, celebrity daredevil, ignored him, took off, made a perfect circuit of the airfield, and then came in to land at a spot just opposite the judge's tent. People watching thought he was coming in a bit too fast. Then there was a sickening crack. Part of the aircraft fell off, followed by the rest of the aircraft and the Honourable Charles Rolls.
Rolls was killed instantly. The first British casualty of the new age of flight. The photographer rushed forward to get a picture, but he was set upon and his camera smashed.
And so ended one of the most successful marriages between marketing and industry in our history. Had aristocratic flair and elan worked a little more often hand in hand with northern engineering grit and genius, then our industrial history would have been a great deal more successful.
In the north of England, another challenge to the old order was gaining momentum. In October 1903, a small group of women met in this terraced house in the centre of Manchester, the home of the widow and political activist Emmeline Pankhurst and her three daughters, Christabel, Sylvia and Adela.
And at that meeting, in this parlour, they set up the Women's Social and Political Union. Now, this was an age of do-goodery and busybodies. Organisations of all kinds politely, deferentially lobbying politicians for reforms, including votes for women. But the WSPU was going to be very different. Little did the women gathered here know that before long, one of them wouldn't be sitting in the parlour, but in a prison cell.